everyone, it's Max, and today I am here with the Halloween Creatures book tag. It is October, it is the month of Halloween, one of my favorite holidays of them all. I love Halloween, I love the spooky atmosphere, I love the horror movies and the shows, and it gets me in the mood for fall, even though I'm never in the mood for fall or winter or cold, but this just gets me there. So I thought this week I would do a couple tag videos for you. I didn't do a reading vlog that would be going up this week. I just read, but I didn't vlog that much, so I decided I wasn't gonna do a vlog and I would do some tag videos instead, as it is Halloween season. All right, the first creature is Witch, and that is what is a book or character that is magical. And for this, I'm going with unnatural magic, and specifically Ona, and I can't remember the other magical character's name, but this is a book that follows two storylines, but the one that has magic is about a girl named Ona who is a witch. But she lives in a country where women can't really get anywhere with that, and so she decides to move to a different country and try to become the apprentice of like the head wizard of that country. She achieves that, and now they're working together to try and solve a series of troll murders. I loved this book. The magic is really interesting. Ona really specializes in illusion magic, but she's really strong and can do a lot of other magics, as so can her mentor. And I just really liked the plotline. I really liked Ona. I really liked her mentor. I liked their friendship a lot. And I just enjoyed this book so much. It surprised me so much. I enjoyed it way more than I thought I was going to, and I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. But overall, really liked it, and I did really like the magical aspects of it. The next character is Werewolf, what is a book that is perfect to read at night. And for this, I'm going with a book that isn't scary, but it definitely has a spooky atmosphere and element to it, because honestly, I don't like reading scary books at night. I don't like being kept awake because I'm scared. But this series, I think, is perfect for just like getting that atmosphere, and that is the October Day series by Shauna Maguire, which starts with Rosemary and Rue. If you've been following me for this year, I have been reading a book of this series a month, and I am loving it. I am enjoying it so much. I am having such a good time, and honestly, I've read these at night, and I think it's just so atmospheric. It's so spooky. It takes place in like the land of the Fae, but also the human world, but there are some like really bad, scary characters in this, but like it's just so good, and we love our main character, but it's just not like scary where it's not going to keep you up unless it's just to keep up because you want to know what happens at the end. The next creature is Frankenstein, and that is what is a book that truly shocked you. And for this, I'm going with Iron Widow. I cannot remember the author's name, and I don't even want to try to pronounce it, but this is a book that I read in August and loved it. It was such a surprise to me, and the whole book itself was surprising. So this follows our main character is in this world where people, like men and women, can match their chi and like defeat these creatures that have invaded this world. And our main character's sister became one of these women, but she was killed. And a lot of women do die in the process, but she was actively murdered outside of like the mental space that she should have been in. And so our main character goes to become one of these women to get revenge on the man who killed her sister. I loved this. I did not expect to enjoy it as much as I did. There were so many twists and turns. The plot twist at the end blew my mind. I could not believe it. I was just like, but it made sense, and it was just so good. Loved our main character. Really liked our main supporting characters as well. There is a polyamorous relationship in this, which was really fantastic. The respect, the communication, it was flawless. Love the book. Cannot wait for the sequel, but the book like just came out, if it has came out, because I did read it as an ARC. Just so good. Please pick it up. Like, I have like wanted a book that like will cross the lines, where it's like their life would be so much easier if they just did this one very morally gray thing, and she does it. Like, I couldn't believe it. I was just like, revolutionary. Never happens, where they're like, oh no, that's a line that our character won't cross, and it's just like, why? Like, if she's willing to murder this person, like she should be willing to do this, and she does it. And honestly, phenomenal. The Devil, what is a dark or evil character? And for this, I'm going with Arobin in in the Throne of Glass series. I still find him as one of the worst villains that I've ever read. He just he is head of a slave trade. He creates assassins, but he also does really terrible things to people, including our main character Selena and some of our supporting characters as well. This follows a series which I'm sure everyone has heard of, but it follows Selena Sardothien, who is hired by the Crown Prince to compete in assassin trials to become the main killer for the king, the king's assassin. And so she's going through, but she has this very secretive past, and it is a large series that I love. But Arobin has still been just an awful character in a good way. He's a good villain, but he's awful. And so are most of the villains in this. Honestly, I could have just said all of the villains in this series because they're just bad people, and I really enjoyed it. Next character is the Grim Reaper. What is a character that shouldn't have died? And I'm not going to say who it is because spoilers, but that is a character in The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson. If you have read this, you know who I'm talking about. I loved this character so much. They are one of my favorite characters, and when they died, I was heartbroken. I cried. I went into a slump. I was just it broke me because I loved them so much. And this is my favorite book in the trilogy. I think it's because they are one of the main characters. Sorry if you can hear the fluttering. That is a butterfly that is stuck in my room that just won't cooperate with me. But I did just love this. This is a series that the tagline is, what if the Dark Lord won? So what if the hero went up against the villain and the villain won? And so this is the ramifications and what has happened now that the villain is ruling and the hero is dead. I love this series. I love Brandon Sanderson. I mean, he's a classic now, which I'm so happy about. When I started reading him, I feel like BookTube had not totally gotten into him yet. They were still very focused on very much YA, except for a few booktubers. But now everyone is reading Sanderson. A lot of people are gearing more towards adult, which I really, really like. But I just love this series. It just has blown my mind, and it has started the love that I have had for Brandon Sanderson ever since. The next creature is Zombie, a book that made you hungry for more. For this, I'm going with The Cabin at the End of the World by Paul Tremblay. Now, what this made me hungry for is more books that cross that line, like I was talking about with Iron Widow, where it's where it's just stuff happens and I'm wow, he really did that. This is a book about a family, which is two men and their adopted daughter, who go on a vacation to this cabin that is at the end of the world, basically. No one is around, but then a group of people come and say that they have to choose one of them to die mutually to save the world. And so this family is fighting against these group of people, and it is just, I mean, it was gripped me from the beginning and didn't let go until the end. It was phenomenal, and it crossed a line. And you know what? I really, really appreciated that, because I was no, I'm this character's safe. They're never gonna do it. Oh, they did. Oh man. I mean, yes, it was an accident, but still, the fact that the author crossed that line, I was really, really impressed with. And I want more books that cross that line. I know I keep saying that, but I don't know a better way to put it. But books that, they do stuff that a lot of authors are oh no, that's too dark. That's too depraved. But I'm just yes, do it, Paul Tremblay, and he did. The next creature is Gargoyle, a character that you would protect at all cost. For this, I'm going with Kieran from Ruin of Kings. I love this series, and I love Kieran. Kieran is our main character who is part of a group of people that are destined to destroy the world. And I love him. I love this series, and I love him. This also has a really great polyamorous relationship with two characters that I also really enjoyed, but I love Kieran. I think he is such a great main character where he has a hero complex, but honestly, it's no, really, no one else can do it. And it's just brutal, and he just wants to be happy, but he's come to terms with the fact that he can't. And I'm pretty sure in this, he's I can't be happy. There is no happy ending for me. And it feels that way, and it's just heartbreaking. He breaks my heart, but I love him so, so much. The series does not get enough buzz. The last book is coming out next year. I cannot wait. Oh man. And I just loved I love him so much, and if he dies, I will die. I will die too. Cause of death, character death. Like, I will die if Kieran dies, but I love him. I love his romance. I love so many parts about this series, but Kieran is definitely the shining star, and I want him to be protected at all costs. The next creature is Vampire, a book that sucked the life out of you, and for this, I'm going with Rage of Dragons by Evan Winter. I hated this book. This was my least favorite book of 2020. I hated it so much. I just hate our main character. Can't remember his name. Tao? I think it's Tao. I hate him with a burning passion. He is so selfish and so awful, and he just lets himself be controlled by his anger, but he never like screws up his own life. He screws up everyone else's life. And he's just like, whatever, I don't care. I just want to get my revenge. And it's just like, you're an idiot and you're ruining everyone's lives except your own. And I just hated him. I rage read the end of this book, because I was into the first, I don't remember now, but you know, I was into it. I liked the writing, I liked the plot, but Tao, I wanted to kill him. I was like, I want you dead, I want you gone, and I will never ever pick up the sequel, Fires of Vengeance or whatever, because I just hate him just so much, so much. Next creature is Ghosts, a book that still haunts you. And for this, I'm going with The Sacred Lies of Minnow Bly. Now, I cannot remember who this is by, but this book amazed me. I read this my freshman year of college and loved it. This is about a girl who was part of a cult, but she is now being interviewed by police because they think she killed someone. But the issue is she has no hands. Reading about her with no hands was brutal. Like her learning how to deal without having hands and how to live, and it was just, oh god, and the scene where they cut off just killed me. It was brutal, but so good. I always feel like this book should be more popular than it is. I can't think of the right word for that, but it is so good. The writing is amazing. I love Minnow. I like the story, and it was just like brutal. And every time I think about her trying to deal with no hands, I die inside. I just cringe, but in a good way. It is just so stuck with me, and I just want everyone to read it. The next creature is Demon, a book that really scares you, and I'm going with The House at the Bottom of the Lake by Josh Malerman. This is a short story. I mean, it's 100 and something pages, but wow, was it scary. I read this during also a pretty scary time in my life. My dad was literally the same day my dad was getting a cancerous tumor removed. And so I was in a hotel room, which haunted hotels, hello, reading this book, and it was freaking me out. So this is about a couple who find this house at the bottom of a lake and explore it, but this house is haunted. And it just the writing and the atmosphere, and I love being in the water. I love scuba diving, so water itself doesn't scare me, but boy did it scare me in this situation. It feels so claustrophobic, where it's the same as I think if there's horror in space, where you have one air source. It's not like on Earth where it's just you could be anywhere and breathe, but underwater or in space, you have one air source, and if that gets turned off, if you run out of air, if something happens, you're screwed. And that just added a whole level of just claustrophobia to the whole thing. I loved it. It was so scary to me. I was just I couldn't sleep, but it was so good. Skeleton, a character you have a bone to pick. And for this, I'm going with Lucy, specifically in Chain of Iron by Cassandra Clare. Lucy is the character that's oh, I can't tell anyone about this, and you don't know why. It's okay, why can't you tell your parents about this? It makes no sense, and it's just it feels like Cassandra Clare was doing this just to be let's not involve the parents, every YA novel either, even though the parents are our main characters from another series. Lucy drove me crazy in this, and then in the end, what she decided to do was just absurd. And she's like got it into her head that like, I can't tell anyone about this. I'm the only one who can do this. This is like bad hero complex. And it just makes no sense. I'm just like, where are you coming up with these ideas? Why do you think you're the only one who can do this? And she just really made me angry in this book, where she wasn't telling anyone anything, and so they're all just like, it was just a big problem, and I just couldn't stand her in this. The next creature is Mummy, and what is a book you want to preserve through time? And now honestly, I wasn't sure what to go with this. I don't know. I'm just like, I had a hard time, so I went with a book that is already a classic, and I hope that it stays a classic, and that is the Iliad and the Odyssey, specifically the Odyssey by Homer. I love the Odyssey. It is my favorite book of all time, for sure my favorite classic, and there's something so magical about the Greek mythology and Odysseus and Telemachus, and I just love this, and I hope it never loses the classicness of it all, and I hope people continue to love it and to read it, because it is just, I love it so much. I don't love the Iliad as much, and you definitely don't have to read the Iliad before reading the Odyssey, but if you don't, definitely like brush up on your Greek mythology, because it centers around the Trojan War, and the Odyssey is all about Odysseus's 10-year trip home after the Trojan War. He goes to the underworld, he gets stuck on magical islands, he fights magical creatures, and it is phenomenal. I absolutely adore the book, and I just want everyone to read it, but I feel like the more people I talk to, the more they don't like this, and it breaks my heart. But I just never want it to stop being a classic, because it's just so good. All right, and the last creature is Creepy Doll. What is a book cover that is too scary for you to look at? And for this, I am going with Nothing But Blackened Teeth. I don't know who it's by, I don't know the premise, but the cover is so terrifying. I'll put the cover here, but it is just scary. It is like, ugh. Anytime I see it, it's always like, because I'm reading some spooky books recently, it's always on like Goodreads is like recommended, like readers who've enjoyed this have enjoyed, you know, this, and like it's there, and I'm just like, ugh. Like it is such a creepy cover. I like don't want anything to do with it. I'm like, yep, and I'll probably never read you because you creep me out. So sorry, there's a fly flying around. But yeah, it totally freaks me out, and I will probably never pick up that book in my life. All right, everyone. Well, that is it for the Halloween Creatures book tag. Let me know if you're doing this tag or what your answers would be to these questions down below, and I will see you soon with another video. Bye.